Welcome everyone to Team Player for Red Team Flex webinar. Looks like we have a full house today and we're excited to have you here. My name is Tara. I'm one of the client success managers speaking today, along with Josiah and our wonderful trainer, Sarah. The goal for today is to cover Team Player setup and configurations. We will show you how that works and how to get it connected. So that way, the integration between Red Team Flex and Team Player works simultaneously. We will also show you how to enable and invite your subcontractors to begin using Team Player along with Red Team Flex, and show from the subcontractor's point of view what the subcontractors will actually see on the Team Player platform, and input a vendor invoice and reject an invoice in Team Player, because getting paid is very important. Lastly, if you have any questions, feel free to use our Q&A section at the bottom and put in any questions that you may have. We will try to answer those throughout, and if not, we will definitely answer those at the end, or we will reach out to you in the coming weeks. So let's get this party started. Let's pass the mic to Josiah.
Thank you, Tara. Appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Like Tara mentioned, my name is Josiah Chachua, part of the client success team, and we are extremely excited to show you guys Team Player today. Part of what Team Player does, it allows your vendors and subs to view their contracts and also bill an AIA-style billing directly and integrate directly with Red Team Flex. So what we want to show you, what we're going to start out by showing you is how to actually connect the two so that way you can actually begin using Team Player to bill. So what you see on the screen right now is you see the Red Team Flex platform. And what I've already done was I've clicked on the app section. And what you see here in the app card is all the various integrations or apps that you can connect with Red Team Flex. And so for Team Player to be able to begin using that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect that card down here at the bottom. So right now it shows operational. On your end, if you're looking to connect, it'll just be a gray screen kind of looking like this, and you'll see an option that says connect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click into this box here, and part of the connection process is the first thing you're gonna do is agree to the terms and conditions or terms of service of using Team Player. So once you accept this, then these boxes will open up and allow you to be able to set up your actual settings for using Team Player. So right here, I see my construction billing section. So I'm looking at my EAP notification where it lets me know that the $10 per invoice as far as invoices being submitted using Team Player. And then if I want to activate that, I check this box and I'll be able to determine who's going to be assuming the risk of the invoice as far as the fee. So if I would like my subcontractors to pay that $10 per invoice, then I would just put $10 in this section here. If I agree that I'm going to actually split that, so let's just say I want to pay $5 and they pay $5, then I would change this to $5, and then that would split the fee for the e-apps that are submitted using Team Player. And down below, this is the account or the chart of account that it is used as far as if you're connected with Team Player. And down here is where you can actually select the person that'll be receiving those bills on a monthly basis of all the invoices that are submitted using Team Player. Down here, we have our application for payment certification. And so you have two options that you can actually select from here. So we have our notary certification and our architect certification. So if you would like those to show up on your AIA form billing, then you can actually check these boxes and you get a preview of what that looks like here. And down here, if you want to change the vendor certification language, I just have to click this pencil, and it allows me to change the verbiage and language used for my vendor certification. So that's really all that's needed for the actual setup in Red Team. What other things you find here is you'll actually find the metadata. So this tells you all the history as far as people connecting or disconnecting Team Player, or all the history with the actual app card or the integration itself. And at the top, I have my transaction log, which will open up all the transactions, all my invoices, all the transactions that I'm sending back and forth from Red Team over to Team Player. So I get a full transaction log here that I'm able to export and print that out. And so now that I've connected my Team Player, I'm ready now to actually set up my commitment forms. So that's the next step. So I've set up my app card. Next, I want to go into my commitment forms and make sure that my commitment forms are eligible to begin being used in Team Player. So to do that, if I go into the configuration menu, and on the right-hand side under projects, you'll find the commitment form setting. And so these, in order to enable or disable these, you'll need to have admin rights in Red Team. But if I scroll down, I find the commitment form that I want to use. So for this one, I'm going to use my subcontract SD1 form, right? So if I click this and I click edit, it's going to allow me to be able to change the settings that are needed for this commitment form to be used in TeamPlayer. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll down to the workflow options, which is right here. And in this bottom box right here, you'll see to be used with TeamPlayer. If I check this box, that'll allow me, anytime I use this template on any of my projects, this template is now eligible to be sent over to TeamPlayer to begin billing. So that's the first thing you want to enable on the commitment forms. The second thing you want to enable at the top, typically it already comes that way, but you want to make sure that the option is set to amount billed. That is going to allow you to be able to have this invoice or these commitments sent over to TeamPlayer. If for whatever reason, let's just say I changed it to amount billed, or units delivered, this option for allow multiple draft invoices will be selected. And unfortunately with TeamPlayer, you're only allowed to have one draft invoice at a time. So you want to make sure that you always have this enabled to amount billed, so that way you can actually send these over to TeamPlayer. So that's my second step. I've done my commitment form. So now I want to actually enable and allow my vendor, so the vendors that I want to start using, or my subcontractors that I want to start inviting to use TeamPlayer, I want to go into their vendor settings and actually enable their TeamPlayer settings there as well. So to do that, I'm going to click companies and I'm going to click vendors. And I'm going to go ahead and find my vendor that I would like to invite to begin using TeamPlayer. So in this, for today, I'm going to use my trusty subcontractor, Melly 3D Concrete. And when I go into that person's profile, so as soon as I get here, I click edit. And if I scroll down, you'll find a box that says TeamPlayer enabled. So if I check this box, now whenever I create a commitment and I assign it to this subcontractor, it'll allow me to, it'll make this subcontractor eligible to begin billing in TeamPlayer and be able to receive those invitations that I send directly from Red Team, allowing them to start billing. So that's the only thing you need to do in their settings. So I just check that box and I click save. And now I can actually send them the invite. So that's the fun part. So if I'm gonna go into the actual project, so I have my Avengers Quinjet project here. And I'm gonna go into the buyout tab found here. And once I'm in the buyout tab, I'm gonna find the subcontract or the commitment that I've created that I want to send over to TeamPlayer. That way they can actually bill against this commitment. So I've already created this commitment, which is for invisibility cloaking mechanism. So this is something fancy, right? I'm gonna send this to one of my vendor contacts, right? And so once the commitment has been executed, now I can go ahead and send that over. So I've executed the commitment already. So I'm gonna click this view icon and it's gonna open up the commitment in another tab, allowing me to email this over to my vendor contact. So all I have to do is click email here. And in the to box, I'll select the vendor contact that I would like to send this over to. So I'm going to send this over to Natasha Romanoff for all my Marvel fans out there, right? And so she's going to receive this email and this invitation and allowing her to be able to actually bill against this commitment. Now, if I wanted to add anybody else, I would just click this to icon here and I can go ahead and select all the other contacts that I would like to invite. Now, the key here is you have to make sure that you send this, the email that you send this to is the same email that they're going to use to actually bill against TeamPlayer. So I'm sending this to Natasha Romanoff. She'll receive this now. Hit send. And so now I got my confirmation that I've sent it. So now I'm actually going to pass the mic to Sarah, who is acting as Natasha Romanoff for today. And she's going to show you how to actually submit that invoice against this commitment.
Awesome. Thanks, Josiah. So I'm taking over from here with the screen share to show you what's going on in the GC perspective, or the subcontractor perspective, excuse me. So as I receive that email as a subcontractor, this is an example of what that's going to look like. Now we can kind of scroll down and we're going to see basic project information. We're going to see who this subcontract came from. right? So that's going to reflect the sender. So I would see Josias's email here. It's never going to be a no reply at redteam.com. That way, if they need to reply to you and ask questions, they can. But the key piece here are the links at the bottom. So I've got the ability to click here to open the subcontract. I can view it either as a PDF, or I can go ahead and click from that PDF to enter directly into Team Player. We're just going to show you how to log into Team Player here in a moment. We've also got a link down here if they've never used Team Player before. This is a set of instructions that's going to teach them how to sign up. And it's as simple as following those instructions. It's going to bring them to this page. And if they've never used it before, it's essentially going to have them enter their email and a code that it sends to their email to verify. Otherwise, if they're a previous user, they can go ahead and type in their username and password, and they're going to be able to view all of, there we go, we need a plus. They're going to be able to view all of their commitments and their invoices in the same place. So this is what their Team Player portal is going to look like. And we've got the ability to view all of our customers, right? So that's the GCs. That would be you as the GC. They can see all of the GCs they're working with via Team Player. And they've got a users link here to go ahead and see all of their current users who access this Team Player portal. We're going to go to customers. It's going to bring us a little pop-up here where we're going to see all of our GC customers here that we're working for. Training 2 is the one that project is under. And then we can see that Avengers Quinjet project. So I can simply click on any of my available projects for that customer. And you can see I've got a transactions window here. So in this transactions tab, I can see all of the contracts that are currently existing between me and Training 2 here, my customer. So we'll click on that invisibility cloaking mechanism. And we have the ability to see quite a bit of information in here. So this is just kind of a general overview of the contract. Status says executed. But I also have this little red bubble down here that allows me to take a lot of other actions. Now, the one we're going to walk through here in a moment is entering a billing. We've also got the ability to see current existing billing information. More details is going to show us basic information about the contract, the amount, and the various contract details. We have a view only window into our credential status and our waiver status. So we'll be able to see what's required for this contract and whether or not it's been received by the GC. We can access the online plan room for this project, and we can view any contract documents that are right here. So, but the one we're most concerned with today is how do we go ahead and enter a billing? So it's as simple as clicking enter billing. And it's going to be very easy for them to walk through this. So they've got their invoice number in here already. This is the commitment number or the contract number. And this indicates that this is their second invoice on this invisibility cloaking mechanism subcontract. So we can go ahead and put in our billing dates. We're going to go ahead and say this one's for May. So we'll go all the way back to the beginning of May. And then we're going to want to put in the through date as well. So we're going to say this is the entire month of May. And the billing format, there's really actually going to be only one option. It's going to be automatically selected to this AIA style 702, 703. So they won't have to make any choices there. And it's got your remittance instructions in there for you as their customer. So they won't need to mess with those. And in fact, if they try to, there's no other options. They do have a general description section down here for a description of work completed if they want to indicate what was taking place. Initial fabrication. Right, we can go ahead and put in whatever we'd like to describe what work was completed. And then they're going to be able to see all of the line items in the schedule of values that you built in that commitment. So we have 3 items here, but you could have as many as necessary, and you've been able to specify when you build that subcontract what items they should see. It's also worth noting they've got a little filter capability here where they can go ahead and filter down. If this is not their first bill, they have the ability to see items that have not yet been 100% billed, items that have presently stored materials. And when we get to the point of if you reject an invoice back to them, they have the ability to filter for disputed items. So we'll see that shortly as well. Otherwise, they're just going to walk through each of these items and indicate what should be billed this period. You can see what was billed in the prior periods. We can just go ahead and click on a value to open up this window. And we have some flexibility with how we display and fill out each item. So they have the this period completed view or completed to date. So this period allows us to just type in what we completed this period in either a dollar value or a percentage. Whereas completed to date allows us to see what's been completed thus far. So if they're used to tracking it in that manner, either by dollar value or percent, they can go ahead and just add on to what's already been completed. So we're going to go with this period just for the month of May. We're going to enter these in by percents and say we completed another 25% of this subcontract or this line item. And we'll go ahead and save. It's going to auto calculate the dollar value for us there. And we can do the same with each of these items. So we'll just go ahead and put in 25% for each one. They'll see those dollar values reflected. So if they don't see what they're looking for, they can come back and make any changes. And then down at the bottom, you have an option to include retainage or taxes. And that's something that you'll set up when you create the commitment. But they can go ahead and click in here to retainage, and it's going to auto calculate the retainage that you specified should be on the commitment. So we created this one with 5%. They do have the opportunity here to request a release of retainage. They could reduce this value and save. But of course, as you go and approve or reject that invoice, you have the ability to say, no, we're not ready to release that retainage. And then taxes there will go ahead and auto calculate on their own. So they don't need to worry about those. In fact, if they try to, it's going to go ahead and say that they can't enter taxes. So that will auto calculate for them. They can add any files that they need to right here. You can see they've got a list of orange allowed file types, and any file must simply be under 25 megabits. Then we just agree to the terms and we hit submit. Note that if they get about halfway through this and they need to save, they can save this as a draft and come back to complete it later. But we'll go ahead and submit. And while that's submitting, we're actually going to jump over into Flex. So I'm going to jump from the subcontractor perspective here to the GC. We're going to come back into that project and look at how to approve or reject that invoice. So the first thing to know is that if you're involved in invoice approvals, you're going to need to look no further than your dashboard to find those. So if I was in the standard approval chain for that invoice that was just submitted, it will show here in my inbox, and I can simply click to access my inbox and review all the invoices that are coming in from Team Player or otherwise. But if in this case, I'm not set up as an approver for that particular invoice, I can always go find it within the project. So we'll look up that project. And then we're going to go ahead and use our home icon within that project to directly access our vendor invoices page. So here on our vendor invoices page, we're going to see that latest draft invoice right here. You can see that's got the same invoice number that we filled out for $4,500. And we can go ahead and click the pencil to open up the steps for invoice approval. This is bringing you to the same place it would if you had looked at this from your inbox. If you were an approver from your dashboard, you'd come right to here. You don't have the ability to edit the invoice amount, but what you do have the ability to do is come here to the job cost section and approve or reject, essentially accept or dispute each individual line item. So we can go ahead and say that this one is fine, but we can dispute our mirror panels here, and we can say panels were chipped, need a 50% discount, right? Whatever the case may be, we can indicate that the work they said was completed was not. We can leave as many notes as we want here. And then we can go ahead and commit when we're ready. As we commit that, it of course then applies to our budget. We're going to see it in all of our financial reports here in Flex. But really, for these purposes, the key is that I have to commit it before I can approve that invoice. So we can then come down here to approval. Note that, if you're familiar with the invoice process, you do have the ability to check on their credentials and their lien waivers during this process prior to approving. Not something we're going to worry about today, though. So down here, I would simply say, I want to reject and cancel this particular invoice. I'd like to send it back. And this offers me the opportunity to go ahead and send Natasha an email to let her know that we have some form of issue with this. You can see it's going to include all my disputes. Those disputed line items will be listed right here. And I can go ahead and say, needs correction, please resubmit. Right, whatever note I'd like to send to her, and we can go ahead and send that out. And once that's sent, she can use the email, or she can simply log back into Team Player to see the status of any of her bills here. So if we come back into this contract, we can then open up the billing information. And this is where you're going to come to see the status of any submitted bills, which is going to allow us to see that I've got my initial invoice that was approved. And then here's the one we just submitted that's rejected by the customer. And it's as simple as just coming in here to this more icon, these 3 dots, where we can take some action and we can go ahead and revise the bill. So let's revise that bill, and you're going to see how quick and easy it is to edit those line items that were disputed. So of course, we have access to all the information we did before, but now you can see that mirror panel is very clearly listed as disputed. We can view those comments and we can see, hey, panels were chipped, we need a 50% discount. Okay. We also have that ability, remember, to filter. So if you've got dozens of line items for them to look through, I've had clients who say they have up to 80 to 100 line items sometimes. They can simply filter for disputed line items, and there's the only items they need to edit. So now I want to come back in, and we had that at 25%. So let's go ahead and make it 12.5%. We'll give them half off for that, a smaller dollar value there. We need to recalculate the retainage. So it'll go ahead and recalculate based on what's completed this period. And then we would just agree and submit again. And that's going to flow right back over as a new draft version of that same invoice number. It's going to go back to the previous approver. So whoever it was that rejected that particular invoice is going to see it pop right back into their dashboard here. So how would I know that comes back? I would come up to my dashboard, and as an approver, I would see that drop into my inbox. If I was the person who hit reject and cancel, it'll come right back to me, and we'll be able to proceed exactly where we left off. And of course, you can see here, you're able to track the status of that revised copy here separately from the one that was rejected. So with that, I believe that covers everything we have. The only other thing I think I'll mention here before I turn it back over to Tara is your help center or your intercom chat over here. So you do have the ability here to access live chat. These are your subcontractors, right? They can access the same live chat that you can from Flex. They can ask questions here, and they've got help articles that they can access. So there are plenty of kind of self-help resources for those subcontractors once they get signed up as well. But with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and shift it over here. We want to make sure we show you how to access our webinars page. So right here is our events and webinars page, and I'm going to turn it back over to Tara to go ahead and conclude things for today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We ask that each of you head over to our main Red Team website page under the events page to sign up for our next webinar. You will see all of our updated list of events, our upcoming in-person events, and our on-demand past training webinars. I also put that link in our chat if you wanted to click from there. Thank you guys for attending today, and we will see you on the next webinar.